So today is the final day for the Chief Justice, Gertrude Tokonu, to respond to the 3 petitions to the President that was forwarded to the Council of State for her removal. It's the final day 10. You recall that President Mahama gave her 10 days to respond to the 3 petitions after the consultation of the Council of States, and also the Chief Justice herself wrote officially to President Mahama to be giving copies of that petition so she can respond. We are told that she has officially submitted her response to President Mahama on that petition. That 10-day window ends today. So after this day, what is next? Already there are 2 people in court trying to injunct the president from going ahead with this process. They initially said that the president had violated the constitution by going ahead to even confer with the Council of State without giving the Chief Justice hearing. The first member of parliament to go to court, member of parliament for Tafo, that is Eko Vincent Asifwa, and then a private individual going to court to injunct the president from going ahead with this. This matter has been postponed or suspended. Today they went to court. There's been an adjournment on that, and the Chief Justice has been given the opportunity to respond. So after this response, what next? Let's speak to constitutional lawyer Mr. Paul Kumi. Counsel, good evening to you. Thank you very much for your time on 505.
Thank you.
So we've had the opportunity to learn some law this time about prima facie case, the processes for the removal of the Chief Justice getting the opportunity to respond to these petitions. Now, she's had the time, the 10 days is up today. We are told that she's officially submitted her response to the president. What is next in the law?
Yes, so by the law, the president is going to have some discussions with the Council of State, and of course, based on the petition that have been submitted and the responses also given by the Chief Justice, they will then be able to say whether or not there is some merit in the complaint or the petitions that have been made, which should warrant the setting up of a committee to further probe into the allegations that have been made against the Chief Justice. So we will have to now await the president or an official release from the
Jubilee House. Yes, Jubilee House
to tell us as to whether or not this committee is going to be set up to do any further inquiry into allegations made, or that a conference with the members of the Council of State, the president has decided to, as it were, dismiss the petition.
In all this, is there a timeline to it? Because yes, we know the Chief Justice was given 10 days. So after the 10 days and after she submitted it, how many days will it take the president and the Council of State to confer and then come out to say, oh, these allegations are of no merit, or yes, there is indeed some questions for the Chief Justice to answer. So if prima facie case has been established, let's move on to set up a committee.
Just like the election petition, which we had some time ago, most of these things will depend on the development, and as and when they come, that will determine how long the particular issue will take. If you look at the petition that was made by Professor Sari, you realize that it was just at the tail end of President Kufado's tenure. I think he came out with the statement or the release either on the 3rd or 4th of January, prior to he leaving the office. Yes, but this petition had been made at least a month or 2 before he exited the office. So I don't think there is any timeline given. But definitely, if there is going to be the need for any particular committee to set up to do any further probing into the allegations that have been made, I do not expect that to take more than a week for things to be done.
So in case the Council of State says that, okay, the Chief Justice has some questions to answer, and then a committee is set up, will she have to continue her job, or she'll be suspended, or she'll be asked to step aside for this to go on?
Well, the Constitution grants the President the discretion to either ask the Chief Justice to be suspended or to step aside for the time being while the probe is going on. And then depending on the outcome of the said probe, she will probably come back to work, or probably she will just exist after the suspension has been made. But it is not automatic that once you are being investigated, it will mean that you have to, as it were, step aside. It will do a lot of good to her because at least there are 2 Supreme Court judges, and in order at least to give everybody the fair opportunity that she is not in office, she's not, as it were, breathing over the shoulders of these 2 Supreme Court judges, and that these Supreme Court judges are as objective and they are doing things on their own, looking at things the way they will have to look at. Yes. So, as I said, I was able to tell what it is that is the petition. I'm also unable to tell what is it that is her response. So it will depend on what it is if that these allegations against her are made of, her responses to the said allegations. And of course, in consultation with the Council of State, the advice has to be given to the President as to whether he should remain in office while the investigation is going on, or whether she should be suspended. But of course, as I did say, the Constitution grants the President the discretion, because it says he may. It's not like he shall. So that once this thing is going to be done, automatically she will have to be asked to step aside or to be suspended. So it leaves a certain level of discretion with the President as to what he should do with the Chief Justice if she happens to be under any inquiry or investigation.
Okay. Just like you said, you're not the only person who doesn't really know what is contained in this petition.
We are not supposed to know.
Don't Ghanaians deserve to know? We are not supposed to know why the Chief Justice should be removed?
For a very good reason. For a very good reason, the framers of the Constitution did indicate that everything in respect of the Chief Justice, the various justices of the Superior Court, and of course that will include the Electoral Commissioner, the boss of shrines, Yoko, and all these persons. Of course, when they should have any problem, the Constitution says that everything about what goes with that particular petition against those persons will have to be done in camera, which means that they should be done without the knowledge of us, who are the public. The only time they will have to give us information will be when they have finished with the whole thing, and then they will tell us what it was that was the petition, what it was that was found out by way of the inquiry that was made, and what went into the decision either to, as it were, indict the person against whom the petition has made, or whether to, as it were, acquit, or to say that that person is not guilty or is not complicit of what has been said against him. So yes, we will have the opportunity of getting to know, but the Constitution says that in the run-up to a decision which will have to be taken in respect of the petition that has been made against any particular person, either the Chief Justice, Justice of the Superior Court, or some of these, as I said, Electoral Commissioner, Shraj, National Commission for Civic Education, and all those people, there is a way that the Constitution says their issues must be handled. And I think it must be done so. So you realize that that's the reason for which this MP has gone to court.
Yes.
I mean, gone to the Supreme Court, because they will want the constitutional imperatives to be respected. I think that because the Chief Justice had been supplied with things that they were asking
for
to be furnished here, I think this one is moot. The issue is moot.
Okay.
But probably the Supreme Court may still want to hear it so that
they give a
will
ruling.
be able to give a ruling, and by the ruling, then they are not going to set a standard which will have to be followed. Anytime any such happenings do take place, they will know what to do. Because as it is now, for instance, the issue of prima facie, right? Now that she has written her response, right? Is it the case that the president and the Council of State are going to establish a prima facie? Of course, there is a judicial committee within the Council of State, so they can do that. Probably it is not for nothing that it was advised that a member of the Council of State should be a former Chief Justice, so that when it comes to matters of law, that particular person can advise. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I do.
So these are some of the things, but they look a bit more remote. They look a bit clouded, not very clear. So I think that the essence of some of these constitutional issues being sent to the Supreme Court, it is for purposes of trying to make sure that they will draw the fine lines to those areas which are a bit hazy, so that we'll be clear as to what it is that we should do. It becomes a standard which all of us will have to follow as and when any of such things take place.
Okay, finally, before I let you go, since you've talked about this, the court issue, can a Supreme Court stop the president from performing his functions? Because this injunction was for the president to stop with the process to consult with the Council of State until the Chief Justice is formally sent a copy of the petitions against her for her response. But can anyone or the Supreme Court injunct the president from performing his duties?
The Supreme Court, when it sets and makes an order, everybody under the sun in Ghana will have to go by that order of the Supreme Court. So if the Supreme Court says that President John Mahama should stop what he's doing now in respect of the investigation of the Chief Justice, whether he agrees or he does not agree, he will have to stop. If he does not, it will be in contempt of court, and that could be one of the reasons for which he can be impeached.
Wow, this is interesting. And again, the Supreme Court, we know the Chief Justice is the president. This is her matter.
No, just a minute.
Okay.
You see, we will have to let it be drum home that we have three arms of government. We have the executive, we have the judiciary, and then we have the legislature. Right? The executive is a group which ensures that whatever is said as per the law, they will ensure that that is done. So let me start it from this way. The legislature, which is parliament, will do the law. The executive will have to see to the implementation of the law. And when there are any challenges in respect of the law, you have to go to the Supreme Court or go to the courts for a determination. So where the court makes a determination and the executive decides that it is not going to abide by the directive of that court, you can imagine the kind of condition which will come up. So I believe that it is not a matter of saying that one of the group happens to be superior or to be much more powerful. Of course, by our reckoning, because the executive for most times, holds the purse. If you want something in your house, it will come from the executive. If it's a position you want, it will come from the executive. In fact, even the appointments of the Supreme Court judges and everything, it will have to come through the executive. But of course, it will have to still go through Parliament. For Parliament to even say, yes, we approve of that particular nomination or that particular appointment that has been made. So these are all checks and balances meant to ensure that there is good governance. So if you want to ensure good governance in this country, if for whatever reason the Supreme Court says that in respect of a particular thing, this is what it thinks must be done, it will have to be done. Unless and until somebody goes back to the same Supreme Court to set that particular order aside, or to ask the Supreme Court to review that particular order.
What will you say to people who say that the Chief Justice whose matter is at the Supreme Court is the president of the bench?
Yes, the point is, again, is that the Supreme Court is constituted by various panels. So it will depend on a particular panel that will be empaneled by the Chief Justice. So the empaneling of the various panels, probably I'm trying to be a bit tautological, the empaneling of the judges to sit on various cases, that is an administrative duty of the Chief Justice. But of course, if there happens to be any particular panel on which the Chief Justice happens to be, the Chief Justice will have to preside over that panel. Other than that, any other panels that is put in place, the most senior will be the president of that particular panel. But take note, you can have a situation where on a particular panel, the Chief Justice, if she happens to be on that particular panel.
How can she be a judge in her own court?
Come again?
Her own matter. How can she be a judge in her own matter?
No, if there is going to be any matter which involves the Chief Justice, it is the duty of the Chief Justice to empanel those who are going to sit on that matter. But the Chief Justice herself cannot sit on that matter.
But she empaneling, she would know how to empanel it so that they will go in her favor.
That is so. Unfortunately, we will have to also give some kind of respect to our justices. That they are persons who are independent-minded. And that even where they are empaneled, they will ensure that they will do justice to the law. If it is a matter that, yes, I have been empaneled, but I realize that this particular issue is not good enough, it is incurably bad, that judge will not, in the interest of just wanting to probably protect a Chief Justice, soil his image. So the empaneling is an administrative responsibility of the Chief Justice. So you don't say that because the Chief Justice happens to have a matter involving her, so she should now hand over that role to another person. If she decides to do that, that will be perfect. But under the administrative power that she has, she can still go ahead. So even this particular hearing that took place, yes, it is her right, it is her administrative responsibility to set up or to empanel that particular group which will hear the matter. So there's nothing which one could say is going to be a conflict of interest. It is only when she's on that very matter which involves her, then there's a problem. Other than that, I think this issue once came up and the Supreme Court came out clearly to say that, yes, the fact that the Chief